I want to thank you all for coming to this second in what I hope to be many educational talks that we've given here at Google. Our differentiators, I mentioned 25 years marketing to this audience, only a handful of agencies that are doing so, none as good as us. We take a truly integrated approach, and really that starts with understanding this audience. We know this population is growing. We expect by 2025 this population to grow by 16 million, which is 3x the 18 to 49 demographic. We know we're all living longer. And I think what's maybe most important to this audience is their spending, right? So they make up, this audience, 50 plus, makes up about 35% of our US population and make up 60% of the retail sales. Yet, we still seem to be stuck in some conventional wisdom on how we should be marketing and reaching an audience. About only 15% of marketing dollars are spent to try to reach this audience. So how do we fix that? How can you, as marketers, tap in to this audience effectively? And I think today we've got 3 great speakers who are going to show us how.
Too many people are spending too many dollars to try to get to these markets and not being very effective in it because they haven't taken the time to understand who they are. Without understanding their values and motivators, in this 50-plus marketplace, you have a very difficult time in trying to connect with them. Boomers and older consumers are not the same, clearly not the same. There's no such thing as a boomer, a pure boomer, or a senior market. If you think that way, that's how you will manifest your communications. So what you really need to understand is how they think and then what their behavior is all about. While there's no such thing as a boomer or a senior market, we can find common defining attributes that affects all of them across the board when it comes to life stage. If in fact you can create your products and services that are perceived by these markets as bringing to them some meaningful life experiences, you have a great shot of getting their attention. And understanding how the brain works will help you save a whole lot of money in terms of how you market to these folks. Focus on those defining attributes that that take place in the fall and winter of life. The 50-plus brain moves to the right. Communications must follow. Stop putting 10 pounds of copy in a 5-pound page. I mean, it just fills up. You want to put everything in there. You got to tell them everything. You're making a mistake. They're not getting across to that market. Images do it. Pull them into the message. Entice their imaginations. Let them self-select. And then stir emotions. That's what you've got to do. You've got to be thinking that this is your mantra in your company. Our mantra is to position our brand and products as gateways to meaningful life experiences for our customers. If you think along that line, a lot of the typical mistakes based on myths and so on will fall by the wayside. But if you don't and you keep going along the same line you're going, the chance again is you will not be that effective.
50% of the US adult population will reach the 50-plus market by 2017, or at some point in 2017. The first member of Gen X just turned 50. So if we think about the audience that you're going after, it's huge, and the opportunity is huge. There's no doubt about it. It's an audience that's really grown up with technology. So for the last 85 years, as technology has advanced, this is an audience that's seen it all. If we look at time spent in digital, it's growing. So 2011 versus 2015, we're up about 2 hours a day in consumption. 3 hours of that is just in mobile. So about more than 51% of all time spent is actually on a mobile device. And an hour of that is video, and that number is growing. I should point out there's only 2 activities that Americans do more than watch video: sleep and eat. Your audience is there, it's only getting bigger. So 30 million people, 55 plus, watch video on YouTube. This is an audience that's getting very used to having a mobile device on them and very used to actually using it to its full potential. We don't go online anymore, we live online. We're in the midst of one of the largest shifts in consumer behavior since the introduction of the web itself. Every day, billions of people around the globe are living out their lives across multiple screens and devices. So what this means is that we're constantly connected, and it translates into more opportunities to reach your consumer. When we go talk to advertisers at Google, we talk a lot about these micro moments. I want to watch, I want to go, I want to know, I need to buy. These are actions that we're all doing on a daily basis. So you have to ask yourself, are you able to capture that intent? Are you there when a consumer is looking for you? 2 questions to ask yourselves as marketers. With video, how are you keeping your consumers informed? When it comes to mobile, how are you responding to their intent?
The 50-plus audience isn't just interacting with brands that focus on 50-plus, they're interacting with all brands and businesses. These are a few of our examples of our 50-plus clients. And as we would expect, we see the vast majority of traffic to their websites and conversions on their websites coming from the 50-plus audience. No big surprise there. When we did the analysis and took a look at our non-50-plus clients, we saw the same trends. The 50-plus market as a whole was actually the majority of their traffic. It does require a dedicated shift in just how your core thinking of your audience and the strategies you put in place in your advertising. It's a little bit sometimes harder to get this mindset for the 50-plus audience because of those preconceived conceptions we had of they're not as tech savvy as the millennials, so we're going to spend our digital spend towards the millennials. But as the data shows, that's not the case in 2016. The 50-plus audience engaging with our brands on mobile is growing at a staggering rate every year. And video is becoming increasingly important reaching this audience. You can get a very emotional or engaged type of message out to this 50-plus audience with video, and they are there and they are engaging with it. And so great, so we know what site they came or what device they're on now. What do I do with this? So when we think about how we're going to do this, we look at it from really 3 pillars. So the targeting. So what vehicles can we use to target the characteristics we uncovered in GA? That's why it's important to know where they're coming from, and it tells you where you're going to put your media dollars. The visual and the message. So the visual is highly, highly important. Going over to channels, what channels can we use that can incorporate that visual sense? Searches, text lines. So we want to think about bigger, how can we get those creative messages out to the 50-plus audience? And then when we think about these channels, we have to remember that every business, every vertical is a different consumer journey for any audience, but especially for the 50-plus audience. While they are on all these platforms, they do engage with media differently. They expect different messages. We need to think holistically across all the digital channel efforts that we're doing when we're reaching this audience. If we're getting these kinds of response from our visual channels, like we showed, it's going to drive interest and drive people to do more searches. And we want to make sure you're there. We definitely need to still be there in search for the 50-plus audience because they are searching. They're increasingly searching on mobile devices. Think about it. I need to go buy that toy for my grandson. Are you ready to connect and message, engage with them when they are coming to your brands? So there's already tools that you guys have that's going to be able to give you all this information to go do what we do. We'd like you to do it with us because we can execute very, very, very well. But the tools are already there. You already have the insights. Between Google and social platforms, you are empowered with all the data. Take the time, go dig through, go find these potentially seemingly unsurprising data, and go find ways that you can then use that in your advertising and get that message out to the 50-plus audience.